You've been applying your color corrector all wrong. Those viral social media videos that you've been following, they're designed to grab your attention and stop the scroll, not to actually teach you how to make a technique work in real life. Let me show you the right way to use color corrector for a flawless, natural look. If you've ever struggled with dark circles, redness, or dull skin, then this one's for you. Let's go. So what is color corrector exactly? Color correcting is a makeup technique that uses specific colors to neutralize skin discoloration before applying foundation or concealer. So instead of just covering up imperfections, color correctors actually cancel them out. They cancel out the imperfections using the principles of complementary colors. Stay with me. It's not as hard as it sounds, okay? Basically, opposite colors on the color wheel, right? Opposite colors will cancel each other out. So green neutralizes redness, peach cancels out blue, and so on. But more of that in a sec. I want to first talk about a very frequently asked question in my comments section, and that is the differences between color correctors and concealers. Why do you need both of them, or do you even need both of them? Color correctors neutralize discoloration using color theory, whereas concealers actually cover imperfections with skin tone shades. So these are color correctors. This is a color correcting palette, whereas this is a concealer. They are actually very, very different. They are completely different products. So you want to think of color correctors as problem solvers and concealers as finishers. You can use both together, but if you just use a concealer on, say, a deep blue discoloration under the eyes, for example, it might end up actually making your dark circle look ashy or gray, and that's where color corrector saves the day. I've been thinking about this a lot, and here's an analogy that may help you understand it better. So you want to think of using color correctors like using a stain remover on a piece of laundry that has a stain. The stain remover neutralizes the problem before the soap and the water wash it away. Color correctors neutralize the problematic areas on the skin before the concealer is able to hide it completely. Now let's break down the most common color correctors and when to use them, because you might look at a palette like this one and feel very overwhelmed by it, which is completely understandable. So again, let's pull up the color wheel so that it makes more sense. So green cancels out redness on light to medium skin tones. So think rosacea, acne, irritated skin. Green is going to neutralize and cancel that out. Pink, peach, or orange, depending on your skin tone, pink for light, peach for medium, orange for deep, that's going to neutralize green, blue, or purple undertones, which are found under the eyes. So dark circles, you're going to need pink, peach, or orange. It's also really good for neutralizing hyperpigmentation or age spots. So that's this family over here. Red cancels out deep blue or green discoloration on very rich, deep skin tones. Lavender, I bet you're wondering, what the heck does that color do? So lavender brightens sallow yellowish skin and can be used as a really good radiance booster on light to medium skin tones. And then yellow, this guy does the opposite, right? Purple cancels yellow, yellow cancels purple. So yellow is going to soften purple tones on fair to light skin tones. So it can be really good for under the eyes on certain skin types, or it can be really good for covering up bruises or veins. If you have a vein on your leg that's really bugging you when you're wearing a little mini skirt, yellow is going to be the perfect color correcting tone to neutralize the purple so that your concealer has more power in its coverage. Alrighty, now that I have demystified what color does what, where to apply it, let's talk about the different ways to apply it, because there are two different ways that I typically do it. The first way is best for a full coverage finish, and the second way is best for a much more soft daytime natural finish. So let's start with the full coverage finish first. Step number one is to start with a well moisturized face. So go ahead, apply your usual skincare to create a smooth base. If you use primer, you're gonna wanna do that next. Step number 2 is to apply the color corrector. So lightly dab a thin layer of color corrector directly onto the areas of discoloration. For example, I am using green on my cheeks and nose to neutralize redness. I'm using peach under my eyes to counteract blue tones, and I'm using purple on my brow bone and the bridge of my nose to brighten up those areas. If you have lighter skin tone than I do with yellow undertones around the eyes, I found an amazing example that may help you on Reddit. This person has noticeable yellow discoloration around the eyes, and she used a touch of purple corrector to cancel out the warmth. As you can see, the difference is incredible. I was so excited when I found this on Reddit. I was like, oh my God, this explains everything. Her under eye on the right side of the screen, so her left, looks so much more balanced and bright, doesn't it? It's amazing. So definitely use the color that is appropriate for what you're trying to conceal. Okay, whenever you watch these tutorials, make sure that you are following the theory, not necessarily exactly what the person's doing, because my coloring may be different than your coloring. Use the opposite color on the color wheel to the thing you're trying to correct. Step number 3 is to blend by stippling. So you can use a damp beauty sponge, you can use a brush, or you can even use your fingers to blend the corrector into the skin. Press it into the skin. Make sure to keep that color in the area of discoloration though, okay? Don't spread it around too much. Don't extend it out where that discoloration isn't even present. I see this mistake made a lot in under eye circle color correction. Usually when you have deep discoloration under the eyes, it's only here in this pocket, and people will apply it all the way down. And you don't need to do that. That's just like way too much product. And then you need more concealer to cover up the color corrector. The color corrector should only neutralize the area that has the depth. So keep it really localized in that zone. Step number 4 is to let it set. You're gonna wanna wait a few minutes so that it doesn't mix too much with your concealer. It doesn't muddy up your foundation or your concealer. You can even gently set this layer with a powder if you want to. But if you don't wanna use too much powder, just wait a few seconds. That color corrector product is going to dry down, and then it's not going to mix so much with the concealer or foundation on top. Step number 5 is to apply your concealer on top. So you're gonna wanna use a concealer or foundation on top that matches your skin tone and lightly pat it over the corrected area. Then you wanna blend everything seamlessly. For the best results, using a damp beauty blender instead of a brush is easier. It's more user-friendly, it's more beginner friendly. A sponge really helps press the product into the skin without smearing or disrupting the color corrector underneath. If you do use a brush, if you have more experience, you can definitely use a brush. You're just gonna want to avoid swiping or swirling motions. You really want to press and pat your concealer and foundation on top of the color corrector to build coverage while keeping the corrector intact underneath. And then finally, you can set it with a powder. This is optional. If you want extra longevity and pore blurring, you can set it with a nice light layer of translucent or pressed powder. And here is the finished result. You can see how even and how much we got the skin to be all one tone. This is before applying bronzer, before applying blush. So it looks very flat, but this is the perfect canvas to then build your other products on top of. Now let's move into method 2, which I think is going to be your guys' favorite, because this is a softer, more natural correction. This is great for day-to-day wear. So step number 1, again, is to prep your skin, moisturize and prime as you usually do. I'm actually using a tinted moisturizer here because I like getting my moisture and getting a little subtle bit of coverage at the same time. Then step number 2 is to mix the corrector with your concealer. So on the back of your hand or on a mixing palette, I'll leave one linked for you guys in the description box below. They're really handy to have if you like makeup, they really are. You're gonna want to blend a tiny amount of color corrector with your concealer until the shade is slightly adjusted. So you can see here that I am mixing peach corrector with my concealer, and I'm applying that mixture under my eyes. And then I am mixing green corrector with my concealer, and I'm applying that to my cheeks to neutralize the redness. You just want to add a tiny bit of corrector. It's going to adjust the shade of your concealer just enough to be able to neutralize while also building coverage at the same time with a much thinner layer. It's a really good trick. And then it goes without saying, you're going to want to blend that into the skin. So you can buff the product out gently, you can stipple, you can do whatever you need to do to build up a really seamless look. Now, if after you do that, the discoloration is still peeking through, you can add another layer of the mixed product. You can stipple on top to build up that coverage. And then finally, of course, you can set with powder. Now, since this is very natural, we don't even have foundation on, right? We're kind of just spot correcting the areas we need to spot correct. If you want a little more coverage, I prefer a little more coverage, you can use a colored pressed powder. Or if you don't want more coverage, but you do want some pore blurring, you can use a translucent loose powder. So you can see here, half my face was done with a pressed powder. You can see that I got quite a bit more coverage just by adding that pressed powder, nothing else. And then half my face here is done with just a nice dusting of loose powder. Now, like I said before, this is best for a very subtle color correction or when you need a quick fix without too many layers. This is even great if you don't want to wear any foundation at all. You just want to spot correct certain areas of the face, you know, micro editing. This is a really great way to micro edit your face. Like if you're going to the beach, for example, you got some redness, you got some age spots, you've got some discoloration, dark circles, you can just micro edit, add a little powder, add a little bronzer, and it really looks like you don't have makeup on, but your skin looks even. It's very cool. So I know some of you guys are gonna be confused now. You're gonna ask me, I don't know which one to use, Gabby, which one should I use? Okay, think of it like this. If you have stubborn discoloration, go for method 1, which is layering color corrector and then foundation. If you want a really natural everyday look, then go for method 2, which is mixing. Natural isn't always better. I know there's a lot of trendiness with like super natural minimalist makeup right now. I personally think I look better when my makeup isn't that natural. I'm gonna be honest. So I prefer the layering technique, but if layering products is too much for you or you don't wanna do that, then mixing your color corrector with your concealer is another great option. So one isn't better than the other. It's just about what makes you feel good and what's gonna work best for you and your lifestyle. So let's answer the final question. Do you actually need color corrector in your makeup bag? The answer is, drumroll please, not everyone does. If you don't struggle with discoloration in your skin, you can probably skip it. But if you have dark circles that won't go away with concealer, or the concealer makes your dark circles look ashy, if you have redness from acne or rosacea that cannot be covered with foundation or concealer, it's always peeking through, if you have hyperpigmentation or you find your skin looks very dull, you can't seem to brighten it with other products, then this could be a really great thing to add to your makeup bag. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you want me to make an entire video on my favorite color correctors on the market and who they're best for, let me know in the comments below, and I will do that for you as soon as I can. This video's over.